interesting get. Rick chats to those guys at Funsoft. And yes.
So that's what's on today's show. And to kick us off, as always, we have another scathing attack from the game's assassins.
Let me tell you about remorse. I really wish I hadn't taken that penny chew from the sweet shop. 20 years in chokey with fellow prisoner Ben Dover certainly taught me the meaning of the word. Running around in scarlet pants, however, doesn't quite compare.
Crusader No Remorse is apparently a conversion of a quite old PC game. The first thing that got me about this game was it is very, very, very dated. At first I thought it was running on a Mega Drive. And then it sort of took me by surprise when I realised it was running on a PlayStation. It's a 2D isometric view type game. You control a little guy, very limited animation, little explosion effects, none of the sort of coloured lighting and pyrotechnics that you see with a lot of the modern games.
Now, Crusader No Remorse came out on the PC some time ago. It was a fair time ago, actually, to be honest. And it is a very PC-orientated game. It's kind of a shoot-'em-up strategy game. You play a little sort of red bloke, and you have to go around and shoot things and solve puzzles and collect things and progress from rooms to rooms to rooms. It's all got a science fiction-y feel, and it's almost like a kind of a Warcraft or something, but with only one little blokey.
Basically, you walk around, there's enemies to shoot, there's cameras to destroy, there's stuff to collect, there's cards to find to get through doors, etc., etc. But, like I said, it's all very dated, the graphics are very poor, the sound is not up to scratch. The only thing that reminds you that this is a PlayStation game are the rendered intros, and we all know rendered intros are just, crap. They're just there. They add a little cinematic feel, but once you watch them, there's nothing to go back to.
It's got a lot of action in there and a lot of things to blow up, but it's really the thinking part of it that makes this sort of like stands it aside, because there's a hell of a lot of thinking to do. It's no good just running into a room and just shooting whatever's in there. You should think about what that enemy or what that character will do for you. It's almost role-playing-ish.
Basically, this is a bit of a poor title. It in no way pushes the PlayStation's hardware in any aspect. There are a lot of better games out there, so give this one a miss.
Thanks, lads. More from them later on in the show. Okay, it's time now for a review about the latest gadget. Who's going to be doing this review for us? Well, I don't know, but you can be sure it's going to be a weirdo.
Hello. As you know, I've worked for the BBC for many a long year. You may remember me from the 1979 Streatham by-election, in which I was co-presenter, or maybe more recently, as the commander in LWT's Missus. I'm not here to talk about myself. I'm here to talk about a condition that affects many families. The condition is clumsiness. My younger brother Matt works on some ridiculous computer game show called On the Game or something. He himself suffers from acute clumsiness. I did myself at one point. You only have to look at my past work to understand what I'm saying.
Kiss me, you brute.
All right then, I will.
How much time before the meteorite hit the Earth? About 10 minutes, I think. Oh! Okay, perfect take. Well done, it's a wrap.
So as you can see, it's a dreadful problem. And my father, late Hugo Berry, a very big man in radio, used to be very clumsy, dropping cups of tea over consoles and... Ah, here's my younger brother. You're right now, how's it going? Very well, young sir. Tell me, what's that tucked underneath your arm?
This is a brand new Sony PlayStation, given to me by our mother and our Uncle Will. I don't suppose you fancy a game of Tekken 3?
Why not? Good God. Oh, like I said, he's just gone and snorted all over his new plaything. There really is no hope for you, boy.
It's no problem. Early today I bought one of these. This is the Sony PlayStation. It's snot-proof. it's drink-proof, it's food-proof, it's fantastic. And it even has a picture of a bulldog on the front.
Oh, right. Not bad. He hasn't got the sophistication, the suaveness or the beard, but he looks like he's got things covered.
I'm really sorry. You can only apologise so many times. And that's what happens when you have a Cambridge education. Anyway, it's time now to redeem ourselves. Let's go over for our feature.
Yeah, cheers, Andy. Mr. Sinister recently sent me down to the Funsoft headquarters to talk to a bloke called Torsten. Don't actually know his second name. To talk about 500cc GP. Well, go on then. So, Torsten, 500cc GP. It is another bike game. Why would the market need one?
Well, our approach was with GP500 to do a real racing sim. There are a lot of motorbike games out there which are more or less arcade game with sim character, and we try to do a sim game with a little bit of arcade character though.
What is kind of unique about this one?
The unique thing is that during the development we talked to a lot of racing teams. Actually, we signed a sponsorship with a real big and professional racing team, and they helped us developing all the physics within the motorbike so that this motorbike sim behind us gets 100% realistic. For example, we did one debugging session with our race driver, and all of a sudden, like after 2 hours or something like that, he drove the exact time on the Nürburgring he drives there in reality.
No, that is accurate. That is very accurate. And on the actual bikes themselves, are there spectacular crashes and stuff?
Yes, there are. There are all the crashes in there which you can imagine, like people fall off their bikes from behind. They go over the bike and they crash into the curbs and whatever. But actually, that's not the point behind it.
Oh well, it's the fun part.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Thurston.
You're welcome.
That's more like it. An informative, educational feature there for you. Okay, it's time now to get vicious with the words. Yep, it's the game's assassins.
The N64 is so starved of quality driving games that it may as well become a supermodel or something. But here's its first official Formula 1 game, and it aims to do for the Nintendo machine what Psygnosis F1 did for the PlayStation. It's all pretty accurate to the sport, even down to the fact that Michael Schumacher storms into other teams' pit stations looking for a Barney. Actually, I made that last bit up. Aren't I naughty?
The F1 Grand Prix on the N64 is a F1 simulation rather similar to the Psygnosis titles on the PlayStation.
Formula 1 World Grand Prix is very much Nintendo's answer to F1 on the PlayStation. I was an absolute lover of F1 on the PlayStation, mainly because I'm such a buff on Formula 1 generally.
Unlike my co-reviewer, I'm not a very big fan of the F1 games. I prefer a game where you can get to grips with a car, you can make the back end slide that, and there's a lot of work there.
One of the big things about F1 World Grand Prix that certainly sets it aside from other driving games on the N64 is its attention to details. For starters, it's got all the drivers of Formula 1 in it. It's got the cars. The cars themselves are the current make and colour of each of the teams, and they all look really nice. Similarly, the tracks, every single track is in there, and this time they're probably more realistic than any other Formula 1 game. For starters, Monaco is incredible because it's got all the inclines. You know, the Monaco in the PlayStation F1 didn't quite have some of the things like inclines, and the way that you had to twist round bends wasn't quite realistic enough.
Anyone who's played the F1 games on the PlayStation may find these games a little strange because they don't control, in my view, as well. Sure, it takes getting used to, but it's very easy to turn slightly and your car just flips and goes into like a right angle type view, and it just seems very strange. It seems like the control isn't there, and also the cars bounce off the walls in a very arcade-like fashion.
Yeah, I can safely say that this is probably the best driving game on the N64 to date. I really did like this one. the car does handle a bit odd at times, and at times you can skid it into a right angle, you know, very, very simply. Certainly not very realistic in that front, but it does work. I really, really do like this one.
So thanks a lot, lads. There is only one way to start your week with a smile on your face. Yep, it's time to go. Helen and Kelly for our tips in space.
Hello and welcome to Tips in Space. Oh, hello. Oh, and what's the first tip, Paul?
But anytime you see a situation like this, your heart is in your throat.
Well, they are calling for the gurney to come out onto the field. You can